maybe perhaps the worst possible name for any group of people that has ever existed or could ever exist. If I fall into this category of person and this is what I'm being identified as and this is my name, I'm like, baby, we got to get the heck out of here. It's awful. This is known as when married couples say no to kids and they preserve this particular lifestyle, known as, drumroll, the DINK lifestyle. DINK.
Here's a question for you. Is marriage overrated?
Why aren't people getting married anymore?
A new Pew Research poll found that 2 in 5 young adults think marriage is an outdated tradition.
Marriage rates are at their lowest right now.
Is marriage really even worth it?
More than half of marriages end in divorce.
If you get married, you have to be stuck with this person for the rest of your life, right? That's why you get married. So that's why it's declining. Why would you get married if you want to have just one partner when you can have multiple?
Marriage is stupid.
Welcome to the Married AF podcast, the self-proclaimed greatest marriage and relationship podcast in the world. We are your hosts, Matthew and Monica Powers, and you sent me a article that you found a week or two ago, I guess.
Sure.
That we're going to talk about today. And the name of who these people are, or what these people are, or what these people have coined themselves, or maybe what the world has coined these people, maybe perhaps the worst possible name for any group of people that has ever existed or could ever exist. If I fall into this category of person and this is what I'm being identified as and this is my name, I'm like, baby, we got to get the heck out of here. It's awful. This is known as when married couples say no to kids and they preserve this particular lifestyle, known as, drumroll, the DINK lifestyle. DINK.
Okay.
And for anyone who doesn't know, that stands for dual income, no kids. And this is the new phenomenon, part social phenomenon, part personal choice, but social phenomenon. If you're a part of this and you learn I'm known as a DINK, what is running through your mind?
Well, what's running through my mind is probably not the same thing as everybody else.
Okay, I got to know what's running through your mind
because
then.
This is my childhood wrestling knowledge coming out.
Oh boy, let's hear it.
Okay, so there was a guy that wrestled as Doink the Clown.
Yes, there was.
Doink the Clown. Doink had a mini version of himself that he called Dink.
Oh no. So what was Dink's personality?
He was he was a crazy clown, you know? Honestly, it was hilarious that when Dink would,
come out and do
come
his
off
thing.
the top rope and land on somebody and, help pin, like do a double pin with Doink, I mean, it was just.
So that's where your mind goes.
That's
Dink the Clown, partner in crime with Doink the Clown, wrestling persona of what, the 90s? Early 2000s?
Late 90s.
Late 90s, early 2000s. Well, my mind doesn't go to Dink. I don't know where.
Tell me what you think.
I don't quite know
where.
Because
you want to run if that's considered you.
What a horrible name. Yeah, I'm a Dink. That's so stupid. It's awful.
It's just because of the acronym.
Yeah, and it is dual income, no kids, which I get, but the Dinks, like, yeah, baby, we're part of the Dinks. That's what I'm talking about. No, like never in a million years would I be okay with that.
Is that on the taxes when you file? Does it say?
Married, single, head of household, Dinks. IRS, if you're listening, let's add that to the tax form. But it's this new phenomenon of, hey, we're married, but we ain't having kids because it is dual income. We making some money, no kids. And it all came from this. It's a Canadian couple, Aaron and Lucas. They're in their early 30s, and they decided, no, we are never having kids. Never in a million years will we ever have kids because we want to enjoy our lifestyle. And what they did is they quit their jobs to travel 6 months, it says through Nepal, Tanzania, Japan, and they said their child-free life and is allowing them to pursue this dream life with no interruptions, no one holding them back. They're able to achieve a dream life because of this. And they're not the only ones.
Okay. You started out with dual income, but these dummies quit their jobs.
But if you
How is that a dual income?
Well, because they had enough money to be able to quit their jobs and travel 6 months. But
you're going to have to come back to do more work.
Well, they have gotten new jobs that are remote
Obviously.
that will allow them to continue to travel to pursue that dream life. And
Let me guess, they're influencers.
Oh, I'm sure they probably are. I didn't quite get that far. And I didn't necessarily say that in the article. But they're not the only ones. Aaron and Lucas aren't it. A lot of people are this because they see, I can do whatever I want whenever I want. I can sleep as late as I want. I don't have kids nagging me. I don't have kids trying to waking me up in the middle of the night. I don't have to go to ball games or dances or birthday parties or do any of this stuff. I can travel freely wherever I want, however I want. And listen, I understand that maybe that sounds pretty good at sometimes. I mean, I could go for just a you and I trip. That sounds pretty fantastic. But for that to be your whole life, I feel like people are going to completely miss the mark if they continue to try and pursue this. Yes, it's going to seem great and awesome for a short amount of time, but I don't think that that's going to last.
I need to know more, hear more, because there's so much going through my brain right now that you're going to answer with saying something else.
Probably so. So this is happening more and more with more couples that they see this, and we can focus on travel and lifestyle and freedom and self-fulfillment were some of the key words that stuck out in the article. Freedom and self-fulfillment. So why are couples opting out of parenthood? Because here's the thing. You and I were there at some point in time.
We were not having children.
Not to be dinks.
Not to be dinks.
Had it been told to me, hey, you guys are going to be dinks, I'd have been like, nope, baby, we're having every kid possible. I'm not going to be claimed as a dink. It's the worst name ever. But the reasons why people are doing this, and I see this, and on the surface, it looks great. The first is, again, freedom and flexibility. It allows people to do whatever they want, whenever they want, however they want, without anyone holding them back. And it is the most selfish mindset for anyone to have. Granted, we've all been there. I've been there. You've been there. We've been there as a married couple. We were not having kids, but things change quickly to do that. Another huge reason is financial considerations, because having kids costs too much money. What do you think about that? I need to hear your thoughts.
But your trips and your selfish ways don't cost money.
Well, yes, they do, but they said kids cost too much money. And plus, that's for someone else. It's not for you. It's not for me. All this comes from a very selfish nature. Here's something. To raise a child through the age of 18 costs, on average, according to time.com, $310,000 to raise a child from birth to 18 years old, which seems like a heck of a lot of money. And you know what? It is a lot of money.
I shocked.
I think that's incredibly low.
Lowballing it. Maybe it is for our kids. Anyways.
I think if most people went and looked, $310,000 over 18 years, that's not bad.
You did not add up all the food they ate.
No, all the food, all the stuff.
All the toilet flushes.
All the activities.
All the showers and the water going down. That's,
Not only that, all of the clothes. Like, you just went clothes shopping for our children. Uh-huh. For, the 8,000th time, because they're constantly growing, constantly getting bigger. And we turn around and look, it's like, oh my God, you don't have anything to wear. No wonder you're wearing the same 4 outfits all the time, because you've outgrown everything. You just took them both shopping and, complete new wardrobes because they've all grown out of stuff. That happens over and over and over and over and over again.
What about Christmas? Birthdays, all those stupid made up holidays that people buy things for each other, the Valentine's Day crap. You don't forget the Easter Bunny. You got to have something from the Easter Bunny.
Got to have something for the Easter Bunny. Got to have something for Valentine's Day.
Tooth Fairy.
The Tooth Fairy. All that. I mean, it's a constant thing, but $310,000 is not terrible. It says millennial dinks.
Wait, is that based on a certain income?
I don't really know. I'm sure the Time article says that, but I did not dive that deep into it because at the end of the day, I mean, I get the financial considerations. Children are expensive. I mean, they're not cheap to raise at all.
Living period is
Living
expensive.
period is one of the other reasons couples are opting out of parenthood is just social. What they say is social and cultural shifts. It says millennials and Gen Z decline in desire for kids. 25% say they do not want them. 47% under the age of under 50 are unlikely to have children. So nearly half of the people under the age of...
one more time.
That's what the article says. 47% under the age of 50 are unlikely to have children. This is one of the big reasons for the declining birth rates we see in our world today.
Thought that was abortion that was helping out that.
I mean, it probably plays a little bit into it.
But, of course, somebody that's 50 is not going to be having a kid unless they're like, oh, crap. What have we done?
Yeah, but 50 and under. So this is your 30-year-olds, your 25-year-olds.
Well, I mean, I don't know many people in their 40s that are trying to have kids either. That itself is a oops.
Well, one thing, people are opting not to get married now also. They'll have what they consider a partner that they'll live with and they'll act married with, but they don't actually get married.
True.
So those, typical relationships between a man and a woman is, it's decreasing. We see more same-sex couples than ever before. We see more polyamorous couples who are just free-flowing. I'm going to be with whoever I want, whenever I want. I'm going to have 10 partners if I feel like it, and that's just the way it's going to be. They're not going to, I guess people would say, settle, but hey, I'm just going to be with this one person. This is the person I'm going to do my life with, period, because, oh, my God, what happens if I miss out on that other person who may be out there somewhere?
Always have somebody on deck.
Always got to have that DOD.
And I feel like maybe we were just put in the wrong generation.
Why is that?
I've said that for a very long time.
You have.
That I feel like I'm an old soul. I don't necessarily agree with many things because we're considered millennials.
We are millennials. We're early millennials, but we millennials.
We didn't have texting until college.
Nope.
Email did not come on a phone. It did not have pictures. Thank God we were not in this generation. That's why I don't know that we can... I just don't feel like I grew up as a millennial. I didn't have the things at my fingertips like the actual millennials. And I see that with our younger siblings. Mm-hmm. I absolutely consider them millennials. But we're 7 years older than our
Yeah, well, again, we're
sisters.
We're right on the edge of Gen X and millennial, and we have that crossover with our generation. But when we grew up, yeah, I mean, you're right. We had none of that stuff until college, and then that's when
we had cell phones in high school.
We did, but you couldn't.
But it was the Nokia.
Yeah,
phone.
to send a text,
You
you're like
didn't
1, 2,
text.
3. Oh no, I missed it. I got to go back.
That's how we text in college.
Yes.
We didn't know what that text meant.
No, that
we played
was-
Snake.
Yes.
That was the coolest thing. And then you could change the faceplate.
That was huge.
Oh my gosh.
That was one of the biggest things.
I thought it was so cool because the back of my phone was black and the case that I got was red and our school colors were red and black.
Like-
So I just thought, oh, I'm so cool.
It's like I'm the absolute coolest right now.
But I would page you.
Yes, you would.
My parents didn't, I wasn't allowed to talk to boys or call boys or, nonsense of that. So I would just page you, put in my phone number, *143.
I love you.
That means I love you. And you would call me.
Yeah, that's how we operated. So I think we grew up in a great time.
I absolutely do.
Because we didn't have all that. We were forced to use our imagination and
We
get
watched
outside.
TV when it was on TV.
That was it.
You didn't have pause, rewind, record. None of that. So I feel just wrong saying I'm a millennial because I did not have the things that they had even in their 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God we didn't, because of the amount of ignorance that ran through both of us in our early 20s.
I mean, could you imagine?
I don't have video of the idiots that I was with.
I mean, I'm just, thank God there was no
God.
pictures and cameras on cell phones like they are today, and social media where immediately you do something that's posted for the world to
Now,
see.
there was Facebook.
There was, and there was
But
MySpace.
it was only college.
It was in MySpace.
And then when we turned around 21, 22, MySpace came out.
MySpace.
We had our top 8.
Yes, we did. Depending on how we felt about each other, we may be in or out of that top 8 with the lifestyle we led back then.
It was ugly.
It was horrible.
So I just find it odd considering ourselves millennials when millennials are the ones who are not necessarily wanting to get married.
Well, it's now millennials moving into Gen Z. I think it's kind of that late.
Gen Z ain't getting married because they divorced.
Well, I think it's the late millennial
Wait,
into
not
Gen
Gen
Z.
Z
You're thinking Gen
and
X.
Gen X.
The late millennial going into Gen Z. I think that's kind of that nature that we're seeing a lot more of this in.
I understand the Gen Z because their parents are millennials.
No, their parents are Gen Xers. Most of them.
Matthew, you have to realize we got married and didn't get married because we were pregnant. We didn't get married right away and then have kids. We were not having kids. But people our age have kids in their 20s.
They do. It's not as common, but yes, they most certainly do. A lot of the Gen Z is coming from the Gen X crowd and the early millennial crowd.
But I know people our age that have grown kids. And when I say grown, they're, I guess, old enough to
20, 21, late teens. Yeah,
procreate,
they are.
They have people. I know people,
People
our age are
grandparents.
grandparents.
Yeah, they totally are. They totally are. Which is, I mean, if that's you,
that
there's nothing wrong with that.
No.
It happens. It's fine.
But that's what I'm saying. You can't say that our millennials, like where we are not the parents of Gen Z, because I know they are. Now, I also at the high school when people are telling me their parents. Now, these are 16 to 18-year-old kids. They don't believe me when I tell them how old I am. I think it's just because I'm short. I don't think in my mind I'm short, but I feel like that's the reason. But when I tell them and my mom is younger than you. You said, what?
Which it definitely happens.
And there's a ton of them.
A 24-year-old can have an 18-year-old. Or not a 24-year-old, but had a child at 24, they're 42, they're our age.
But see,
and they're
if
18.
when we got together, like if in 1999 we had a child, they'd be 26 years old.
Yeah, no, and that's definitely
out of
definitely
college, possibly married, and we could be grandparents. But we're not Mama June.
No, thank the Lord.
When I found out she was our age,
Oh,
that
Mama June.
totally blew my mind.
Mama June's
But
another conversation for another day.
Right, but I'm saying our age are parents of the Gen Zs.
They are,
And I
in a
can
sense.
see why the Gen Zs are not wanting to get married, because they see the hell that their parents are going through.
Oh, I think that's a huge part of it, but I also kind of blame the digital age that we're in and social media, the facade that is put out there of how perfect these lives are, being able to travel all the time and fancy restaurants and always out because I'm single and I don't have kids and I'm not married, I'm not tied down. I get to have this luxury lifestyle, which isn't true. It's not real.
No, it's not true, because
but people are seeing that,
they
and that's
think
why they're
that's
saying
the perception that they are seeing.
The perception's there, and they say
you don't know
no.
how much debt this person is in. Just because you don't have kids does not mean you have financial stability.
No.
You don't have. I mean, before we had kids, we both had a job, but that didn't mean we were able to go and do whatever we wanted to do whenever we wanted to do.
No, and the vast majority, high percentage of the population aren't what you see on social media.
Absolutely not.
It is not
They
real.
are miserable because they can't do all these things. They're taking out loans to go on vacation. They're using credit cards and maxing them out to go and do all of these things. Now, if you're having to do that, I'm sorry.
Don't stop.
Stop.
I will tell you right now.
It's
stop.
only going to get worse.
One, it's not worth it.
You are doing nothing but hurting yourself. You're trying to find joy, but you're filling it with happiness, and it's going away.
And that's kind of my as we get back to DINKs and what they're doing,
Right.
and the try of it. It's financial, it's freedom, flexibility, financial consideration, social shifts, and what they claim is environmental and health concerns that they need to work.
Environmental
Listen
and
to
health
me real quick.
concerns.
They need to focus on their self-care and wellness, and avoid passing on their medical conditions to a younger generation. Now, here's why I think this is such a horrible take. Yes, having no kids and being able to travel and do whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want, it looks amazing on the surface. And for a while, that may be awesome. In your 20s, maybe your early 30s, maybe even to your 40s, that may be incredible. But that's, for the most part, less than half of our life. And as we get older, yes, we think that this is what is fulfilling. My trips and my experience and my freedom and my self-care. We think that is what is fulfilling me. But all these people who are trying to find their happiness in living this lifestyle, it's going to continue for the rest of your life. Because what happens is, well, we booked the trip. We went on the trip. The trip was great. And I need another trip. I need another trip. I can't function. I need another trip. I can't focus. Let's book the other trip. Let's do the other trip, do the other trip, other trip, other trip, other trip. And it's nonstop. And the reason why is because they're not fulfilled.
I feel like you just described us in a very negative way.
No, that's not us at all.
That's not us. But
No.
we are always going and doing trips.
We love to have trips. We do trips as a family for
Yes.
the most part. You and I will do a trip maybe once a year where it's just us. But we do trips as a family, and yeah, we have a next trip planned usually. That's not where our fulfillment comes from.
No.
We could never go on a trip ever
That is
again.
not all that we ever talk about.
No, it most certainly isn't. And that's why I think being a DINK and living this lifestyle, yes, it seems great for a while, but you're going to be left so unfulfilled in your life that when you are 70 and 80 years old and it's just you, that's it. Especially maybe your spouse passes early. All your other friends had children, or even if they didn't have children, they went and they did their lifestyle their way. That when you get later on in life, you're going to look back and you're going to think like, I missed out on so much. Because yeah, we weren't having kids. It was an absolute no-go for us. And then something just completely shifted and changed, and we did. And I can't imagine life without them. Are they a pain sometimes? Absolutely. Do
Sure.
they drive you crazy sometimes?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Are you sometimes like, just get away from me, please? Leave me alone and give me just a little bit of time.
Yes.
Absolutely you are. And that is normal for every parent to feel. But my goodness, the joy that you have when you see what you created, and it's a huge responsibility, but you see what you created and how you've helped them become this person, and you see their personality, and you see how they think and how they handle situations and their problem solving and how they interact with other people and the things that they do. And as they get older and they begin to have these discoveries about themselves and who they are and what their purpose is, there's no better feeling in the world.
If I could tell these dinks anything, I would love to say, I've been you. The medical problem type things, you don't want to pass them on. Are you freaking kidding me? I do not know who my biological father is. Still searching for the dude. Who knows who he is, because DNA has come back quite hard on a couple people that were the options. But you know what? DNA doesn't matter. You can pass things on that you didn't even know about. I didn't know that I was going to have cervical cancer.
Nope.
Not once did I think that, oh, I can't have kids now because if I have a little girl, she's going to have it too. No, that's not how it always works.
Well, and that is we're worrying for something that may never happen.
Exactly.
And we do that not just with we do this with everything. Like
financial.
We are constantly worried about things of what may happen, and most of the time that stuff never actually happens. What does Paul say? worry about nothing,
Pray
about everything. And yeah, that seems dumb and simplistic, but it works.
It does. Well, we go through life with, well, what if this and what if that? I repeatedly say this. If is a big word for 2 letters. 2 letters.
And it's dead on. Because if usually never happens.
If I win the lottery, baby, we won the lottery.
Yes, we did.
We got a whole $8
I was saying it was like $6 or $8.
Did we send in the thing? No, because you know why? We paid more for the ticket than we won in the lottery.
And that means we got to go back to Florida or Georgia and get it. And whenever we did, we didn't know where the ticket was anymore. So yes, we're unclaimed lottery winners. But you're right. If it happens, chances are the things we're concerned with never happen. And when it comes to this lifestyle of, well, what about this and what about this? And I won't be able to do this and I won't be able to do that. Listen, we've been able to experience incredible things. We've been able to travel unbelievably. And, we're not rolling in millions of dollars to be able to do whatever we work very hard for what we do. Experiences are very important to us and our family.
That's our version of rich.
It most certainly is. That's our version of, we'd rather do that than have gifts or have material things, is to be able to have experiences as a family.
Our kids don't even have birthday parties anymore.
No. And we usually do something, go somewhere in some way. It's still very attainable. And whenever you're able to share that with your children and with your family and be able to create traditions with them that they will one day maybe carry on with their kids and see that legacy that you've left in them and see how your legacy is able to spread and hopefully do good for other people. That's what this life is about.
Yes.
And
well, we also have family members that are kidless.
We do.
And we can see the difference in lives of those that don't have kids to the ones that do. There's a different kind of joy in the ones' lives that do have children compared to the ones that don't. And it feels like so many that don't, not just in our family, are living vicariously through the ones that do have children.
And this is very true. And I think there's probably a sense of regret for some people. And whatever you choose, I mean, there's no right or wrong answer to it. But I would just say to anyone who is currently in this lifestyle and thinking this, you may want to really take a good hard look at the long term and the longevity of this lifestyle that you're trying to live.
Because your money's going to go away. It's going to disappear. But in the end, your family is going to be the one that's going to take care of you. They're going to be the ones that pick you up, help you up and down the stairs, take you to the bathroom,
wipe your butt, change your clothes, give you a bath, the whole thing.
Now, if you don't have those children, money can only get you so far because it's about $30,000 a month for an assisted living facility. And that's now. And that's just the middle. That's not top notch. And just because you didn't have kids does not mean you're going to have that in the end for somebody to take care of you.
No, and you're exactly right. And we'll kind of wrap it up with this, and we hear this every time. Every single person who's in the hospital, they're on their deathbed, they're in hospice, whatever it may be. Every single person, no one ever says, I wish I would have worked more. I wish I would have made more money. Wish I would have traveled more. I wish I would have done more of this. Wish I would have gone and done. It's always, I wish I would have spent more time with my family. I wish I would have spent more time with my spouse, my kids, my siblings, grandchildren. It is always, I wish I would have spent more time with my family.
It's more of an apology. I'm sorry I didn't spend more time with you.
It is. And I think, my belief is that at the end of our lives, if we were to look back, it wouldn't be, man, I got to go on all these trips. Or, man, I had all of this money. Or, man, I got to have all this cool stuff. And I think those would be amazing things. But I think at the end of it, you would be, man, I feel like I may have missed out on, a true unconditional love. Because the love when you have a child is different than anything else. When
It's immediate.
when you first have your child, you don't fully understand what that love is like, and then you have them, and it completely changes everything about who you are and what you believe and what you think is important. And my fear is that as people get later in life, they're gonna have that experience and just think, oh man, I missed it. And there's no one else to carry on the legacy that we've hoped to build in our lives. Whenever we're at our funeral, it's going to be what will people say about me? I don't care about any of the stuff. Is how did I make people feel? And with kids, we have such a huge opportunity to be able to pass goodness onto the world. And this awful, crazy, screwed up, terrible world that we live in, this selfish world that we live in, this is our opportunity to have an impact with the people we created.
Absolutely. Because the selfishness, it really just goes away.
I think as you get older,
those are little bitty yous running around here. And if you're so selfish and love yourself so much, how could you not want another you running around?
and we're born into it. We're born selfish. From the moment we're kids, we're me. I want. But I will say, when you have a child, there's no greater feeling than the selflessness that comes with having a kid and just saying, I'm going to give everything to them. Give absolutely everything in the world to them. And we should be doing that with our spouse too. We've always talked about that. Our spouse, we should be living for them, giving everything to them. But as we do that with our children too. And I just think, this lifestyle, it seems great and cool and everything, but I think you're going to be left so unfulfilled when it's all said and done. And you're going to think, man, I blew an opportunity to really experience something special in my life.
It's sad. And if you are those people that you might be listening and you think, well, it's too late for us to have kids, it's time's up, you can still adopt.
Yes, there's always opportunities for adoption.
Biological clock is past ticking time. Adoption is just as equally important as your own child.
Yeah. And again, there's no right or wrong answer here. We're not saying you must absolutely do this, but before you decide to take this selfish path of, hey, it's only about me and what I'm able to experience, I would just ask you to prayerfully reconsider that, because you're missing out on a ton.
Yep.
Don't be a DINK.
Don't be a DINK.
It's the worst name ever. You got any final thoughts, beautiful?
I love you.
I love you. Let's go. God, we love you so much. And we are just so thankful to be able to be here doing this and doing it for you. And that's all we ever hope for. God, just speak through us in all that we do. Allow people to see you in their situation, whether it's positive, it's negative, maybe they're experiencing something, just to be able to see you in the middle of that, to know that you can be able to get them through that. God, thank you for our families. Thank you for our children. God, you gave them to us and you trusted us with that responsibility. And our prayer is that we'll just raise them up in a way that loves and honors you in all that they do. And we pray for that for every single person who hears this, that it'll reach the people that it needs to reach, to be able to just consider your design throughout it all, because that is what it is all about. And we're honored to be able to carry that on, Lord. We love you and we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Play ball.